Jamie Tilley is you, and I can prove it. So, at minimum, you met with a guy at a hotel to pay him for sex. Yeah, within the 1,000 feet of the church, which is a felony in itself.
There was no sexual intentions that night.
He says, I need money for spring break. Jamie Tilley says, I don't really have any legitimate things I need help with right now. Would you be interested in sexual stuff? He says, yes. He starts calling this guy Daddy. He says, hurry up, Daddy. I'm super horny.
Before we get into the interrogation, and we will spend the majority of this video inside that room with him, you need to understand who this man was. Because this is not a story about a stranger. This is not some anonymous face in a mugshot. This is a sitting state senator. A man who stood in front of voters and asked them to trust him with the laws of their state. A man who campaigned on family values, on Christian principles, on the idea that he was a protector of his community. Ralph Allan Lee Shortey was born on February 16, 1982. In 2010, at just 28 years old, he won a seat in the Oklahoma State Senate, defeating multiple challengers in the Republican primary. He was re-elected in 2014. By 2016, he was the state campaign chair for Donald Trump's presidential run in Oklahoma. From the outside, Ralph Shortey was a man on the rise. Behind the scenes, he was living an entirely different life. And on March 9, 2017, that other life caught up with him in room 120 of a Super 8 motel in Moore, Oklahoma. Here is what happened that night based on police reports, witness testimony, and the affidavit filed by Moore police. A 17-year-old boy, a high school dropout trying to get his GED, with a history of drug involvement, had been in contact for months with a man he knew only as Jamie. They met originally through a Craigslist ad in the casual encounters section. That night, the boy needed a place to stay. He called Jamie. Jamie picked him up in a white Grand Cherokee and drove him to the Super 8 motel at 1st and 4th in Moore. A witness, someone who knew the boy, saw him get into that vehicle. She was suspicious. She followed them. She watched them check in. She sat in her car outside and waited. When she saw them go into room 120 and not come back out, she called the boy's father. The father called police. Officers responded. They knocked on the door of room 120. And Ralph Shortey, Oklahoma State Senator, Trump campaign chair, family man, opened it. The room smelled strongly of raw marijuana. The 17-year-old was inside, and detectives had already downloaded the entire contents of the boy's tablet, including every message he had exchanged with Jamie Tilley, every single one. Ralph Shortey was brought in for questioning. What happened in that interrogation room is what the rest of this documentary is about.
All right. Well, like I told you on the phone, I guess had some officers contact you at Super 8 on March the 9th, I think it was, real early in the morning.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And so that's what we're here to talk about. Why don't you tell me what transpired there?
Well, we were inside talking, and we heard a bang on the door. I honestly didn't know who it was. Couldn't see through the keyhole or the peephole. And so, the young man I was with, I know has, I've known him for, we've been talking. He's come to the coffee shop that I operate a couple times. I've even had him over to my house, play video games before. Had no idea. Told me when I first met him that he was 20. And so when they first got there, I didn't know what the issue was. Didn't know if it was, somebody trying to get in or what.
Mm-hmm.
So, I asked them, they said it was a wellness check or something like that, and I said, hey, I'm fine. And they were persistent, and then I could finally see a badge on one of them. And then they said that there was a minor inside the room. Obviously, I had no idea when I first met this young man. He told me he was 20 years old. Like I said, we've been talking on the phone for a while. He, in fact, for a few months, even told me that he went to California to try to get in the music industry or something. And so, when he called and said he needed to get out of there, that he had the test the next day, then the choice was to bring him over to my house, which I don't think my wife would have appreciated that very much. She probably would have been okay with it, but I just figured it'd be easier just to get him a place. And then we decided to talk.
So you say how long you known the guy?
It's been definitely over a year.
Okay. What do you know him by? What's his name? You know his last name?
No, honestly, I don't remember. He's been over to my coffee shop a couple times. I know that he had been arrested for drug dealing in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he had dropped out of high school. He was trying to get a GED. I was trying to help him through that. In fact, when we first met, I was trying to help him study and things like that for the GED. And then when I lost contact with him for 4 or 5 months, when he went to California or wherever, I just assumed that he had, I didn't know that's where he went.
Well, how did y'all meet?
At the coffee shop. I'm pretty sure of that.
What coffee shop are you on?
That's I own a coffee shop. It's called Holy Grounds Coffee.
Okay.
And 8613 Southwestern.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that's how we met. I honestly don't remember. It's the only place I probably would have met the guy.
At this point in the interrogation, Shortey has established his cover story. They met at the coffee shop. He was mentoring the boy. He had no idea he was a minor. He was just trying to help. It's a clean, sympathetic narrative, and the detective has been letting him build it. Because the detective knows something Shortey doesn't know he knows, the boy's tablet was seized that night. And because the tablet was never connected to the internet after that final message was sent, every conversation on it was preserved. Completely intact. Undeletable. The detective is now about to lay that on the table.
Well, it's interesting because on his tablet, he has a conversation that he says he had with you using an app called Kick. Do you know what that is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, there's a pretty lengthy conversation on his tablet that he says is with the guy that is you, that he that is online, or the Kick ID is Jamie Tilley, and you told officers that night that that's what your online.
He calls me Jamie,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not sure why.
Okay. And anyways, so we've got a conversation between him and this Jamie Tilley about, he says, I need money for spring break. Jamie Tilley says, I don't really have any legitimate things I need help with right now. Would you be interested in sexual stuff? He says, yes. This goes on about how I come get you, blah, blah, blah. We go on. He says, he starts calling this guy Daddy. He says, hurry up, Daddy. I'm super horny. We've got a witness, pardon me, we've got a witness that sees him get in a white Grand Cherokee, and they follow that white Grand Cherokee to the hotel, first to 4th and Eastern at the gas station, and then to the Circle K. Yeah.
This is the gas station.
Yeah, at the gas station, and then to the Super 8 where the guy in the white Jeep Cherokee and him go in, check into a room, and then go back out and go into room 120. All right, and they sit there until the police show up, where she then calls his dad, and he in turn calls the police, and the police show up there to 120, knock on the door, and then you come out. So again, I ask, you told officers that you had online identity Jamie. This guy, Hagen, saying that he was talking to you. We got a witness picking him up at the same time that this message was sent saying I'm here. So I kind of got to say that Jamie Tilley's you.
It's not me.
It's not you. Okay.
We communicated by phone. There was no sexual intentions that night.
Okay. What if I said that he told you guys met through a Craigslist ad the very first time, when he posted in Casual Encounters?
No.
Okay.
Well, in this...
Can I add,
Mhm.
is he legitimately underage?
Yeah.
And he was the first time that you met him, and I said...
16.
I asked him, I said, hey, does he know how old you were? And he said, yeah, he knows, because we had a discussion about it, and at first he was uncomfortable with it, but then he finally got over it. So he's telling me that when he first met you through Craigslist, that he had posted an ad in Casual Encounters, and that he had a lot of responses for it, but that you said that you wanted him to mess around with your wife while you watched. He said that he showed up to do that, or you guys got together and started talking about that. He found out your wife was pregnant, and then said that it never happened because she was pregnant.
Stop for a second, because what just happened is enormous. Shortey walked into that room, saying the boy told him he was 20 years old. Within 15 minutes of questioning, under the light pressure of a single pointed question, he just said, and I quote, he said 16. I asked him, he said, yeah, he knows how old he was. We had a discussion about it. He didn't plan to say that. It came out because the detective gave him a crack to fall into and he fell. This is a man who has been lying for months, maybe years, and he cannot keep the lies perfectly synchronized under pressure. The detective knows it. He keeps going, methodically, patiently, piece by piece.
So here's the deal, Ralph. You and I both know what the truth is, and the truth is not what you're telling us. We're not saying you're a bad guy. We're not saying you set out thinking that this is some 15-year-old kid you're going to go bang. We're not saying that. We're saying, hell, maybe you didn't know how old he was. I don't know. I think you probably did based on what he's telling me, but things are what they are. Tell us the truth. Get it out there. Let's get this over with, get this behind us so we can all move on.
Jamie Tilley is you and I can prove it. So at minimum, you met with a guy at a hotel to pay him for sex. At a minimum.
Within the 1,000 feet of the church.
Yeah, within the 1,000 feet of the church, which is a felony in itself. So, at minimum, that's what it is. Alright? At minimum. So, I'm giving you an opportunity here, and he told me I shouldn't, but I am. I'm giving you an opportunity to do it. To take responsibility for it and make it a little bit easier on yourself.
There was no sexual intentions that night.
Okay, I'll be down the street, a couple houses, in about 10 minutes or so. He says, okay, let me know so I have an idea. Then that person says, I-35 about to exit at 4th Street. And then it says, I'm here. Well, we've got a witness, pardon me, we've got a witness that sees him get in a white Grand Cherokee, and they follow that white Grand Cherokee to the hotel, first to 4th and Eastern at the gas station, and then to the Circle K. Yeah,
This is the gas station.
Yeah, at the gas station, and then to the Super 8 where the guy in the white Jeep Cherokee and him go in, check into a room, and then go back out and go into room 120.
I just don't know why he would do that. I honestly don't know.
Because it's true.
It's not true.
I mean, he's 17.
And he lied about that too.
Okay, well, for all practical purposes, let's say he did lie about that, alright? Jamie Tilley is you and I can prove it. So, at minimum, you met with a guy at a hotel to pay him for sex. At a minimum.
Within the 1,000 feet of the church.
Yeah, within the 1,000 feet of the church, which is a felony in itself. So, at minimum, that's what it is. There's also weed that was in a green plastic container, marijuana that was in a green plastic container with labels from Colorado, that was in the room.
Did you ever touch that bottle?
No.
So there's no way your fingerprints will be on it?
No.
Okay, because we have the bottle.
I don't know what to tell you.
He says, matter of fact, he says when the police knocked on the door that y'all were both smoking marijuana.
He said that he brought a gram when you brought a gram, and you guys rolled a huge blunt, and that you guys were planning on messing around, it just hadn't got there yet. And that he was going to do you a favor by whatever it was you guys were going to do, and that you were going to do him a favor by kicking him some money for spring break. Ralph, like I said, we don't think you're a bad guy. We think you made a bad decision. There's a big difference.
This next section is where the detective explains, in real time, exactly what their digital forensics team has and what it can do. Pay attention to this part carefully, because Shortey is sitting in this room thinking that maybe, just maybe, some of the evidence is circumstantial. Maybe the messages don't conclusively prove it's him. Maybe the Kik account can't definitively be traced. The detective is about to explain, in plain language, why every single one of those assumptions is wrong, and why, the moment that tablet went offline, after the final "I'm here" message, the entire conversation was locked in place. Unalterable, undeletable, permanent.
We have a electronic, we have his device, these are just photos of it. We actually have downloaded the entire device now. So we have everything that y'all said that night, everything. The thing about it is that tablet, once you sent the message saying "I'm here," that tablet was never on the internet again. So the Kik conversation couldn't delete. So we have the entire conversation. But yeah, you can look at it. We have the entire conversation because it never hit the network again. This is a bad deal. This is prostitution with a minor, prostitution within 1,000 foot of a church, which are both felonies, and then transporting for the purpose of prostitution, which is a misdemeanor.
I'm telling you, that's not me.
That clearly is you. Ralph, that's a lie. You're lying to us right now. That's clearly you. No one else. With daughter sick, coffee shop, "I'm here" and you're there. That's clearly you. And just so you know that you guys also exchanged dick pics at one point. And when hopefully you didn't take a picture of your dick with your phone because that's going to tag it whenever you send it to somebody.
No, I don't do that.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't.
Have you got your phone with you right now?
No.
Where is it at?
Honestly, I lost it.
Lost your phone. Can I look in your car?
Sure.
Okay.
When did you drive up here today?
Sorry?
When did you drive up here today?
When?
What vehicle did you drive up here?
My car.
I find it hard to believe that you magically lost your phone on the way over here as well.
It's not the first time, sir.
So we took his device. What we did is we took his device. There was 2 devices. We took them. We forensically. We have a guy who forensically examines them. Then what they do is they take everything off of it. Now, if it leads us to another device, if we get a search warrant or a court order or to another account, say, for instance, in this particular thing, this Jamie Tilley, all right, we can get the IP address that's used, all the IP addresses that's used with that account, right, and we can track that IP address back to a handset. Like, so, say, for instance, the IP address that he uses, we'll track back to a network that he uses. If it's a wireless network, then it'll be that one and stuff like that. So we have several devices that we're looking at now.
This is the section of the interrogation that matters most, because this is where Shortey, without ever fully confessing, says something he can never take back. The detective has been asking about prior sexual contact. Shortey has been denying everything. No sex, never even seen him undressed. And then the detective asks one simple question, and Shortey answers it, and in that answer, he confirms everything the detective needed him to confirm. Listen very carefully to the exact words.
How much sexual stuff had you guys done together?
Nothing.
So that was going to be the first time?
We weren't doing anything.
Not when we got there you weren't, but that was the plan for that evening.
No.
Clearly it was.
Sir, I'm telling you it wasn't.
Did you ever have sex with him?
No, never.
Did you ever give him a hand job?
No.
Did he ever give you a hand
I've
job?
never even seen him naked or even asked
So, this was going to be the first time that any of that had ever happened.
No, sir.
Well, you can't help with that, with this stuff. You can definitely help with my cock, though. That's another statement. I'm just going through here reading what you wrote. Because I can prove that you wrote it. I mean, that's you. So I'm just letting you know so you know. It says, I mean, at one point, I don't know, I may have said this earlier, I'm gonna fuck you like a good little boy if you keep calling me daddy. He goes, yes, daddy, please.
I don't understand why he would do this. I really don't. It's really his name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He has nothing to gain from this.
Except screwing me.
How does that help him?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
why would that
I know
screw
that he's
him?
on probation or whatever.
He has no idea who you are. He thinks your name is Jamie. He has no idea what your real name is. None. He referred to you as Jamie the whole time I'm talking to him.
I don't understand this.
So it's not like he's going to get anything from any of this. It's not like he gains anything from this. What was that number?
It's 265. I can't remember the last four.
Of the phone that you lost?
Oh no, my phone was the number I gave you earlier. That's my cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one that's lost?
Well, I use Hangouts for Google numbers. I've always used them for all of my businesses, and so it would have been 265. I can't remember the last four.
Explain that to me. What does that mean? Like when you call him or he calls you on this 265 number,
Yeah.
and that goes to your cell phone
Mm-hmm.
via Google Hangouts,
Yeah, it was like it's a forwarded number.
a Google Voice number.
No, it goes directly to my number.
Okay. And so you called him back and said, "I'm here."
Right.
Okay. And what number would you call?
Well, I think I just told him I'd be there in 20 minutes or whatever.
And then he saw you when you got down the street? Okay.
Well, as far as I know, you keep saying down the street. I went to the house that he told me to go to.
What house is that?
Address.
You remember?
90, maybe 912, 916, something like that.
Okay.
Boozeden or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And that's where he told me to meet him. And, I'm trying to think of, I called him when I got there. I don't think I did. No, I didn't because I saw him on the porch.
Okay. And you think that what you've told us today is going to make sense to a jury of your peers?
All I can say is the truth, sir.
And then you're not. I agree. All you can say to help yourself out is the truth, but you're not doing that.
This is the end of the interrogation. Shortey is not going to confess. He came into that room with a story, and he is going to leave with that story. But look at what has happened over the course of this conversation. He said the boy told him he was 20, then admitted they had a conversation about the boy being 16. He said he met the boy at his coffee shop. The detective confronted him with the Craigslist casual encounters ad. He couldn't explain the kick messages. He couldn't explain the witness. He couldn't explain why his phone was lost. And he said, with his own mouth, that was the plan for that evening. The detective now closes the conversation. He tells Shortey exactly what is going to happen tomorrow. And he gives him one final chance to tell the truth.
I can tell you what I'm going to do tomorrow. All right, first thing tomorrow morning, I'm taking this case to the Clinton County District Attorney's office. Okay? I'm going to suggest that they file charges for solicitation of a minor, possession or prostitution within 1,000 feet of a church, and transporting for the purposes of prostitution. Okay, and then they're going to decide whether or not they're going to file charges or not. Obviously, I've given you the opportunity. I'm giving you an opportunity to help yourself out, to tell us what happened. Everything I'm telling you, I can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. So, I know that's why we're sitting here so strongly telling you you're lying, because we can prove the Jamie Tilley ID. We can prove that identity is you. I mean, amazing things that we can do with electronics and stuff like that. That we can recover and stuff like that, with warrants and everything. So I'm telling you right now, with beyond a shadow of a doubt, that's you.
It's not. Your best bet is to tell us the truth, tell us what happened, and then move on from this. Make this a bump in the road, not the road. I mean, it's that simple, really. This is not a defining moment. This is just a moment. No, this is you've had other things happen in your life that were awful at the time, and then now that you look back on them, they're still awful, but they didn't change who you were. It's a bump. That's all it is. It doesn't change the fact that you're a good person, or that you care about your family. None of that changes. But the reason you're having trouble thinking of something to say is because you know there's nothing you can say.
I'm having trouble thinking of something to say.
You're trying to decide whether or not you should tell us what happened.
No, I've told you everything.
Okay.
On March 16th, 2017, 1 week after that motel room door was opened, Ralph Shortey was charged by the Cleveland County District Attorney with 3 felony counts: solicitation of a minor for prostitution, prostitution within 1,000 feet of a church, and transporting someone for the purposes of prostitution. He turned himself in the same day and was released on a $100,000 bond. The FBI and U.S. Secret Service both joined the investigation. The FBI searched his home. The Oklahoma Senate voted unanimously to strip him of all privileges: his office, his parking space, his committee positions. Both Republican and Democratic officials, including Governor Mary Fallin, called on him to resign. On March 22, 2017, 6 days after being charged, he resigned from the Oklahoma State Senate. Then, on September 5, 2017, a federal grand jury indicted Shortey on 4 federal charges: sex trafficking of a child and 3 counts of child pornography, related both to the March motel incident and to videos he was accused of distributing from his smartphone in 2012 and 2013. This was not a one-time event. On November 30th, 2017, Shortey pleaded guilty to 1 count of child sex trafficking. He was handcuffed and taken directly to jail the moment he entered that plea. On September 17, 2018, he was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison and 10 years of supervised release. Prosecutors revealed he had engaged in sexual contact with the victim twice in the year before that motel room. He was placed at the Federal Correctional Institution in Seagoville, Texas. He will not be a free man until his early 60s.